Welcome back, everybody, to Formula for Speed. We're back again with another great review. Spain. I'm your host, Chad. Babyface, say hello to people, please.
Hello!
Guys, this was...
I am your sidekick, your hidden sidekick. I keep you honest when you are wrong.
Wow. You feel like I'm wrong, Babyface? I mean, speak on it.
No, I think you may be slightly misguided and mistaken a couple of times.
Wow. Okay, guys, hopefully she's honest about calling one of the tracks in the past Spa. Hopefully she comes clean about that one day.
Wow. Okay.
It's all good. But guys, we're happy to be back. Another great, I felt like it was a good Grand Prix. Good race. Great practices, great qualifying. We're in Spain this week, guys. Let us know in the comments how you felt about the Grand Prix, of course. Who did you guys have winning? Who did you guys have qualifying? In what order, should I say? Who did you guys have P1 through 20? Babyface.
Yes.
How did you feel about the Grand Prix? Let's start off with that. How did you feel that it went? What were some of your likes and dislikes?
I'm not sure I disliked anything of the Grand Prix. It certainly was a strategy-heavy race. It was a strategy that ended up winning it for the teams. If the teams didn't have good strategists, if they didn't have their act together, it showed in this race.
I'm going to tell you, for me, guys, I've said this before, this season is going to come down to tire management. Because Pirelli, I don't know about this year in Pirelli. I've always felt like if you want to make it interesting, let teams choose their own tire brand, right? Some teams may want Pirelli, some teams may want Michelin, others may want Bridgestone. If you want to make it interesting, let them choose their own tires, but let's not go off on that tangent. I'm going to tell you guys, this Grand Prix was all about, to me, tire management. The softs were the fastest. The mediums seemed to be the most durable, which they were. No one used the hard. So let's kick it off. Babyface, what you got for me?
So, right off the start, fantastic start from Verstappen. He right past Hamilton, right out of
off the start. Yeah, it was a good start for Verstappen. Great start.
How did you feel about driver of the day? That you and I both felt that someone should have gotten driver of the day, and they weren't even considered, and I will admit my feelings were hurt for them.
Are you asking me a question, how I felt about it?
Yeah, who do you think driver of the day should have been?
It was one of two for me, and I stated this to you. Hamilton or Pierre Gasly?
Pierre Gasly. So lap 5, we found out that Pierre Gasly's car was a bit out of position at the start.
At the start, guys. He went over the line.
He did. And so he got a 5-second penalty.
Yes.
But that for poor Gasly wasn't all.
No, it
49.
wasn't. Yeah.
He had a 6.7 pit stop. And yet,
What was the rear tire?
I believe so. I don't quite recall, but I'm here to tell you, this kid got a 5-second penalty, rightfully so. Then he had a 6.7 pit stop,
Which that's horrible.
Threw him to the back of the pack.
Again.
And he ended up in 10th in the points.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. For me, if it wasn't Hamilton, it had to be him. Because there was no way I thought he was going to get P10 with those two setbacks. That long of a pit stop should have threw him in last and kept him, to me. And then the 5-second penalty. To still end up in the points, phenomenal drive by Pierre Gasly. Hats off to you. Clap for him. Guys, let us know in the comments how you felt about who was your driver of the day, why. And if anyone else like me had Pierre Gasly and Babyface. So that's who we felt should have been
driver of the day.
Yeah, either him or Hamilton. I had one of those two. That's how I felt. I could have been wrong, but yeah, Babyface.
That kid has talent. So lap 8, his teammate, the engine, dies.
Yeah, he had a little temper tantrum this weekend, guys.
Yes,
Sonata. I think he's a passionate kid. He's a rookie. He's passionate. I think, one of the practices, his engineer asked him to calm down. he gets real passionate. He wasn't happy with the car all weekend. He kind of alluded to the fact that Pierre maybe was running different equipment, which was not true.
Yeah.
It's just that he didn't handle the car very well. Many factors. Tire management, the wind was crazy. He's a rookie. You got to learn how to handle that F1 car. So I think he was very, very little upset, little perturbed.
But I agree with some of the commentators. If he wants to stay in the sport, he's going to need to learn to control that.
Has to.
Because you can't go out there and just say, oh, well, I think my teammate has a better setup than I do, and I just, I'm not getting what you can't go out and say that, because...
Don't do that to a team. That's how Prost got sacked in Ferrari in the early 90s.
Alonso had a couple
as well,
of not so pleasant things to say about Ferrari, and I'm not arguing whether that may be true or not.
In this case, I don't believe it was true.
I don't believe so either. If it is true, then you need to take that in-house and attack it that way. Take it to the FIA, take it internal, whichever way you need to go. If it isn't true, then don't have a meltdown about that. Yeah. But at any rate, I feel like that's one of those things that you need to address in-house, because if it isn't true, what makes it worse is that you're in essence saying that the work of the engineers and the mechanics, they're not delivering as good for you as they are for your teammate. And if that is not true, you're spitting in their face when you really owe your success to some degree to their ability to deliver. So either way, whether true or not, that he needs to control his temper when it comes to that and what he says.
Yeah, I agree.
So when his engine died, a full safety car came out. Tell me, what did you think about the Alfa Romeo pit stop where the tires come out and one of the crew members realizes
it was a puncture.
The front left has a puncture.
I don't know how that happens. I've never seen that in all these years. Guys, I've been watching F1 for years. I mean, I've been watching it, getting magazines. I've been watching it for years. I've never personally seen that. And if I had, maybe I forgot, to be fair. I've never seen that. I was surprised when I saw it. I was like, nobody noticed the puncture before the pit stop? I don't know how that happens. Maybe it's just, I don't know. I didn't understand that one.
35.1 pit stop as a result.
And that was for Giovinazzi, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Though, hats off to the engineer that realized it before the tire went on the car.
And they had to switch out all the tires so they have to match.
Yes.
So it was long. It was very long.
Yes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Williams under the safety car, they double stacked. They did 4.3 and 3.2 with Russell followed by Latifi. They did very well. We usually don't see them
double stack. That's not an easy thing to do, to double stack. That was a solid double stack for Williams. You normally see Mercedes do it, but that was a solid double stack.
I agree. Now, lap 22, Vettel had a 4-second pit stop.
Yeah.
Alonso had a solid pit stop, 2.5.
Yeah.
So once lap 20 came around, there was a lot of pitting happening. So here comes the fun part. Lap 24, Verstappen pits. 4.2 seconds for Verstappen. Which for Red Bull, that's one of those eyebrow raisers for me, because Red Bull is known for the 1.9s. So when he pitted lap 24, Hamilton didn't pit until, well, he pitted lap 43 to put some mediums on. How did you feel about Verstappen coming in first and Hamilton just staying out there a little while longer before he pitted?
Well, I believe he pitted 5 laps later. And here's the point I'm going to make, and I've been saying this for a long time. If you guys notice and go back and watch that Grand Prix, pull up when the chart came up for tire degradation. Mm-hmm. They were very similar, if not almost identical, for tire degradation. It showed me that Max was not comfortable on the tire degradation he had, but Hamilton was. He was able to manage better, lap in faster times, and last longer. So I've always stated, not always, but at the beginning of the season, when I realized Pirelli had these tires that weren't favorable for a lot of teams, the guys who can manage the tires the best more than likely will win. And for me, when I saw that, I said, you know, him and Lewis had almost identical tire degradation. Not true, different packaging for aero, but still almost identical tire degradation. I was hoping, guys, and guys, let me know in the comments what you feel about that. Did you notice the tire degradation similarities and how you felt about it? I felt Max should have stayed out longer to kind of match Lewis, because I said once he pits first, Lewis is going to then see, oh, he can't manage. He knew this, but in this particular race, he's not going to manage the tires as well as me. So what I'm going to do is stay out longer, go for the long run, and then when I finally pit, I have younger tires.
Yeah.
Long pit stop didn't help either.
Yeah, you're right. So when it came time, because once Hamilton, because you did say there were 2 stops for Hamilton. He pitted 5 laps after Verstappen, but then he came back in to put another set of mediums on. And he had to weasel his way back through the pack. I think when he first came out, it was like 20 seconds, 22 seconds
right.
From Verstappen. So Hamilton comes up behind Bottas. And Bottas over the radio hears, hey, don't hold up Lewis, which makes sense because Lewis is chasing.
Faster. He's fast. He was driving faster at the time.
And Hamilton had to overtake Bottas.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Bottas, to me, again, Hamilton is the faster driver, right?
Yeah.
Bottas, to me, again, is one of those guys. He's good on tires, but he's not as good as Lewis at managing tires. And he's just not as good as managing tires. So when it was time to not hold up his teammate, Bottas said, you know what? I'm going to make him work for it. I'm not just going to move. And you know what I liked about it? He didn't just move. Lewis didn't complain about it. Yeah. Lewis overtook him the fairway. I think Lewis now knows with his teammate is out for himself because Bottas made that clear. Yeah. Lewis is like, okay, fine. I'm going to have to pass him the right way like I do anybody else. I'll do it. He knew he wasn't going to crash into him. But I don't think Lewis has a problem, to me, passing his teammate the right way. He doesn't have a problem working for it. Yeah. He just did it.
I thought it was a clean pass.
Very clean pass.
I didn't think that Bottas held him up maliciously in a way of like, no, you're not getting past me, you're not getting past me.
No, work for it.
At the end of the day, if you were to do that, you're also costing your team valuable points for the constructors, right? So I think it was fun to watch, and Lewis still had enough time to catch up. Speaking of Mercedes, this is something that I'm sure you have plenty of thought on. Lap 26. And I'm kind of going back in the laps a little bit. Lap 26. Toto Wolff. We are hearing Toto Wolff complaining.
I already knew what you were going to say. I knew what she was going to say with this.
He's holding us up. Blue flags. He's going to cost us the track position. Speaking about Nikita Mazepin.
I'm going to be honest with you. This kid, to me, he's still rough around the edges, and there's a lot for him to learn about etiquette, I believe. This is not the first time he's done this. He did it to Perez last week. He did it to Lewis this week. I feel like there's certain times he doesn't care if he sees blue flags. He's going to do what he wants to do. They showed him the blue flags, I believe, at that point 5 times.
That was last race. I'm not sure about this race. I don't think this race was 5 times.
I think that's what they said. I could be wrong. They didn't say it this race?
No, it was last race that he had been shown the flag 5 times.
He should know, at the end of the day, guys, when you see those flags, move. Yeah. You're not in contention. Move out the way. You know, and for me, I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like when he does that. It bothers me. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Let us know what you think about Nikita. I think these are antics he does, and I'm not a fan of it, but he's going to do what he's going to do. You know, I don't like it. I think Haas needs to have a discussion with him about that before he ends up causing an accident. Yeah. You know, with the front runners who are because how upset would people be if it was a great race and you seen Lewis and Max about to go at it again and he gets involved and that moves and causes a collision? People are going to be hot. They're going to be like, this dude needs to move. He shouldn't be on the track if he can't follow the rules, you know?
I find watching him a bit nerve-wracking, I will admit, because you're in the slowest car on the grid. You're probably always going to be in the bottom 5 for this entire season.
Yes.
It's your rookie year. It's not like you have skin in the game, as in you have to, you're in a 12th and you're trying to get to 10th to get the points. You're still getting your toes wet. Why would you do something like that when the leader of the race is getting ready to overtake you? Just let them overtake you and you continue on your way. I mean, this is not the way to prove yourself. So when I saw the rest of the pack kind of coming up behind him, I was a bit nervous. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know what he's going to do.
One of these Grand Prix, I think there's going to be a collision caused by him. I could be wrong. Guys, let me know what you think about that. I could be wrong, Babyface, but I think he's going to cause a collision one of these Grand Prix.
Yeah, he's a bit frustrating. So tell me about your team specifically. What did you think about Danny Rick out qualifying Lando Norris?
I think he's out qualified in most of the Grand Prix this year. It's just when it comes to the race, it's not translating well. So finally, I was happy to see Danny Rick finish 6th. What I wasn't happy about that you didn't bring up, and I'm going to bring it up, guys.
Okay.
Ferrari with this magical pace out of nowhere. I watched him get behind Norris. I watched Norris get past easily, and I watched Danny Rick get past easily by a Ferrari that had no pace last year. And again, for me, it's bothersome because I watch clean-cut teams do it.
Yeah.
Right. And I know, Babyface, you feel like they cheat all the time. I know you call them cheaters. My thing is this. I don't know what was sealed off and what was done in 19 to get you guys, get stuff taken away from you. But I want to know what was brought back, and if nothing was brought back from 19, what was done so drastically from an improvement standpoint that give you this much pace? Because from what I understand, I knew it was a bluff. Bonotto said, hey, we're not focusing on this car this year. We're looking for next year. So it's been frustrating me the last 3 or 4 Grand Prix to see nothing against Leclerc and Sainz. Personally, I want to make that clear. Nothing against them personally. My only gripe is, where is this pace coming from and how are they doing it? Because last year, I remember Racing Point found pace and everybody refused to let it go until they showed the blueprint. It feels like Ferrari's getting this pace out of nowhere and no one's really making them, no one's asking questions, right? Where's this pace coming from? Your Leclerc's running 4th, and I watched him go right past us like we were standing still. My McLaren boys have been fighting tooth and nail for the last 5 or 6 years to get to where we are now.
Yeah.
And when I see a team like this just pass us like we're standing still, I mean, on the straights, they're much faster than us. And I'm like, where is this pace coming from? Where did you guys find it? And I want to talk about this in the Let's Talk About a video, so I'm not going to spend too much time on those Ferraris. But something about them is nagging me, and I don't like this magical speed. Look, Perez finished behind Leclerc. It's a Ferrari, guys, that was not good at all last year. I mean, it wasn't. They admitted it. So we're gonna discuss that in the Let's Talk About It, Babyface. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What's going on with Alonso? How do you feel about, because he finished 17th.
Yeah.
And Ocon, which, I'm a fan of Ocon. I like Esteban. Esteban finished 9th.
You know what? I told you before the season started that the whole idea of Alonso coming in and getting a couple more chips or being a frontline contender is unrealistic to me. And as the season has taken off, I'm still looking for the progress Renault made and where that has gone. Like, were they that affected by the rule changes? I hope they adjust for next season's rule changes.
Yeah. But
as of this season, I think I'll be surprised if I see Alonso finishing higher than 8th or 9th himself. And frankly, I don't think Alpine is going to place higher than 6th. I'll be surprised if they make it into the top 5. I will be honest.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think he's still getting used to that car amongst the other new guys, and
Could be.
one of the commentators says something we've been stating for a while, since the beginning of the season. You asked me about this, and I made this statement. The first year guys to a new car are all struggling to me.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. And it's interesting because I'm noticing that all of these guys are struggling. To me, Perez is doing the best out of all of them, clearly. In a difficult car to drive, and we know that about that Red Bull. It's not easy to drive. Perez, Vettel, Alonso, Danny Rick, 4, to me, are struggling. Danny Rick's a much better driver than this. Now, though, his strongest finish thus far this year, he finished 6th. Lando struggled the whole weekend. He did well in qualifying, but he wasn't comfortable at this track. And I think if you guys watch practicing and qualifying, he wasn't the most comfortable.
Yeah.
He finished 8th. So I think the guys new to engine manufacturers with a new team, struggling. Even Vettel. Vettel had a solid race to me, 13th, but Lance finished 11th. So those 4 guys I named, out of all 4, Perez is doing the best, clearly. But the rest of them are struggling.
Speaking of Perez, I really hope he catches up soon, because today was one of those races where Max could have really used
I knew you were going to say that.
Perez closely behind him. Because again, here is Max out front, and Hamilton got away with pitting again and working his way up and just having to overtake Bottas.
That's why he was able to pit twice, because he knew. Yeah.
Exactly. And Verstappen could have really benefited from having Perez much closer to the front. So even though Perez...
He was 5th. But he should have been ideally he should have been 4th behind Bottas.
He should have qualified better. Frankly, he should have qualified better.
He should have. Yeah.
And even though I feel that Perez is the best match thus far since Danny Rick left Red Bull.
That's very true.
I really hope he can find his groove and stay close to Max out front, because that would have made the world of the difference to Red Bull had he been
closer
behind him.
I mean, I thought for me, guys, before this, I thought Sergio was going to make his way back up to the top 3 or 4. But again, the Ferrari's there. So I think he'll be okay. I think he'll still be all right. I think we're going to see a much stronger Sergio in Monaco. But, it was interesting because the strategy that Mercedes was able to pull off, and when you have a driver like Hamilton who's driving on top of his game like this, you're going to need because essentially Red Bull wanted to split the Mercedes, which they're doing successfully. Yeah. They're not 1-2 Mercedes like last year. They're splitting them. They want to ideally get Perez up there to split him even more.
Yeah.
Hamilton wins. Okay, we want to win, but Bottas is at least getting 3rd and 4th consistently, 4th primarily. So they need, but right now the Ferrari's in the way. The Ferrari's are in the way. I mean, if you look in the last couple Grand Prix, Ferrari is.
Yes, but even still, I think Sergio, I hope he finds his groove quickly, because once he does, he will be fantastic at helping to split those Mercedes cars. And I think it's still fairly reasonable for Red Bull to aspire to at least the Constructors' Championship.
Well, to me, I'll say this boldly, to me, Red Bull clearly, to me, has the strongest car on the grid.
This season, absolutely.
This season. What you're seeing is a master driver, like they've said many times. You're seeing Lewis Hamilton, which is the best of his generation, drive the wheels off the car. But to me, Red Bull has the most consistent. The thing that's killing him is the strategy. And if they can get Perez up there, you'll start to see exactly what I mean. To me, Red Bull has the fastest car on the grid. And
to be perfectly clear for people that maybe they don't know kind of what our thoughts are on that. Last season, we said that Mercedes had the best car on the grid.
By far, wasn't even close.
2019, the Ferrari was the fastest car on the grid.
To me.
This season, 2021, Red Bull is the fastest car on the grid. So actually, you've made this excellent point while watching practices. When you watch practices and you see how the cars are maneuvering and how the drivers are trying to get their feel for the track, you hear a lot of commentary and also kind of more detail as to all that goes into the tracks,
right,
or into the cars. Sorry, I tend to only watch qualifying. You tend to go more into practices. For the people that just watch the races, if you only watch the race,
right,
and that's fine, but if you only watch the race, then I can see how you would be misguided in thinking that for the past 8 seasons, Mercedes has been winning because they have the fastest car on the track.
That's not true. That's not true at all.
As you've stated, I would highly recommend that you watch testing, practice, and qualifying.
You'll see.
And you'll come to realize, no, they don't have the fastest car. Last season, you and I agreed that they did. This season, the Mercedes is not the fastest car on the grid. The Red Bulls are. Thus far, the Red Bulls are. What cost Max this race was strategy and the fact that his teammate wasn't closer up.
And he didn't manage, to me, another factor, the tires. He didn't manage his tires as well, but it's still interesting. It's still interesting because even in the practices, you hear Max Verstappen giving Hamilton props for the way he was like. I mean, the guy's just he's killing it in the sectors, and I like what the commentators state. Again, I give a guy props where props is due. Mm-hmm. You're watching a master driver drive masterfully. It's not all about the car, but you also need a great driver to bring the full potential out of a great car. You do. And you're watching Lewis do this. I watched him do it in 2018. And this is why I was mad when he left McLaren. I knew if we would have kept him, it would have been so much better for us. But I knew back then when he left us, after his rookie year almost getting the chip, then the next year winning, I said, this guy's a beast, man. He's going to be one of the best ever. Mm-hmm. And you're watching a master class driver do great things.
Yeah.
And for me, still, he's the only reason why Mercedes, to me, is in this position. Because if you watch, Bottas is not out driving Max. He's not.
Yeah.
Without Hamilton on the grid, Red Bull winning the constructors, winning the individual.
I agree.
So to me, so guys, let me know in the comments what you think. I mean, so far I'm loving it because I think there's a lot more great racing to come. I think there's a lot more great upgrades to come. If Perez can dial in, I think you're going to see a lot more exciting. I think, honestly, if Perez dials in, he starts splitting the Mercedes even more.
Yes, I agree. Thus far, it has been, we actually see, we finally, in my opinion, we finally see a back and forth between the Mercedes and someone else, another team, which is Max in the Red Bull. Because let's be honest, Vettel in the Ferrari really wasn't, even though marketing and the ads that what we saw Hamilton in the Mercedes and Vettel in the Ferrari, that's what all the posters were, like to create that tension or competition. It really wasn't there when we watched the races because it was always Hamilton running out front, Bottas not too far behind, and Vettel, Kimi, and Leclerc somewhere in the back, but it really wasn't that exciting racing. Max is bringing that exciting racing out front with Hamilton and the Mercedes. So I think this will be an exciting season, as we've said.
You haven't seen that since 18-19, and I'm going to tell you, before I forget, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Bottas brought up a good point. How did you feel about, because he addressed it, in turn 1 or 3, when he made a mistake and Leclerc passed him.
Yeah.
I think, and he admitted it, what I give Bottas, he's straight up, that compromised his race.
Yeah, it did.
But what made me mad about that, we're arguing about a Ferrari even being that close. Guys, I gotta, as you see, it's under my skin. It's getting to me.
We'll talk about it and
let's talk about a video.
At the end of the day, Hamilton won.
You should be happy.
Verstappen 2.
We were 6.
Bottas 3.
6 and 8 guys. McLaren's still there. 6 and 8.
You know what? You know what I would like? I would like to have a miniature statue of Hamilton, Verstappen, and Bottas on the podium. I don't care what order they're in. I just want a little miniature statue of them on the podium because now I've really gotten used to seeing the 3 of them up there.
And also, before I forget, shout out to I almost forgot. Kimi Raikkonen had a solid drive.
Yes, he did.
In that Alfa Romeo. 12th And I like how George Russell raced. He was 14th.
Yeah.
Those two also had solid drives to me, so I don't want to forget them. But Pierre Gasly, man, I can't say
he was my driver.
Lights out. Yeah, he was lights out today. So, guys, again, thanks for tuning in with us. Let us know in the comments, what did you guys think about this Grand Prix? What did you think about the standings? And again, we appreciate you tuning in. Watch us next time again for Monaco and Babyface. Want to say goodbye to the people?
Goodbye.
Guys, we'll see you next time.